Hello, my name's Darren Lutton. I'm one of the admins at SEQFC, and this is the Village Law Initial Consultation, where we have a chat to a player in our local league that's gone on to great things. And this evening, I've got with me Alexandra Huynh. Alex, great to see you.
Hey Darren, how you been?
Well, stuck in this isolation and missing the football, but we're having these little chats to try and get by.
Yeah, I think everyone's missing the football a little bit. I'm going a bit crazy.
All right. Now, Alex, you spent the past couple of seasons at South United and spent the last season at Western Sydney Wanderers in the W League, which is why we've selected you for the chat this evening. But before we get to all that, let's start talking about your junior career. Where did you play? Were you a good player, and how did you develop all that?
Honestly, it's debatable. Am I a good player? I don't even know. But pretty much, like, grew up in Sydney. Just like grew up playing for NPL. Played for Marconi Stallions growing up. Went to a sports high school. Went to Westwood Sports, and then kind of made state teams as I got older. Made like the New South Wales Institute team, and then from there just kind of kept making teams. So I was in like the junior 17s, like national team, the 20s. Played W League in high school for Newcastle Jets, and then played again for Wanderers the first season they were a club, and then decided to go to college in America for 5 years. And then after all that was done, I think 2017 I came back, played one more season of a W League for Wanderers, and then had a year off, and then came back to Wanderers this past season. So it's been a long journey.
So when you were playing at Marconi, was women's football something that the club were conscious of making something of it, or was it just there to make up the numbers?
Yeah, so honest, it was a super competitive team. Like Marconi kind of was the club to play at if you wanted to win things. So we won a few trophies there. We always kind of won like club championship just because like where we were in Western Sydney was such a densely populated area and a lot of people played football. So Marconi was probably like, it's always kind of been a competitive club. So that's probably the reason I played there, yeah.
Okay. So does this mean that when you played juniors, you played in all girls teams?
So I played with boys until I think I was about like 12 or 13. And then obviously I wasn't allowed to play anymore. So then I had to go play NPL under 14s. Was I think my first year playing with girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you were playing against the boys, was there any issues there?
Not really. I think I was probably the toughest one on the field, just trying to fight all the boys. But no, like honestly, I think it just did make me like the type of player I am today, just like physical, loves to get stuck in and just kind of like a hard worker. Yeah.
What position did you play as a junior?
Honestly, I've always played centre back or sweeper or just like always in the back. Yeah, because I have a twin sister, and when we're growing up, she was better than me, so she always played in the midfield. So I always played centre back, and then I just kind of stuck and just played there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you got selected for teams,
yeah.
Were you given any feedback as to what it was about your game that they liked?
Like not really. I think when you're younger, like you don't even care like what they say. You're just stoked you made the team. So when I was younger, I've always just been like a hard tackler. So I think they just kind of like that. And like, yeah, I've always played centre back. So it's just kind of, and I could always kick it pretty far. So I guess they kind of like that. But yeah, I can't really remember anything in particular. They were like, oh, you're super good at that. You're super good at that. Because I wasn't really that good growing up. I think I tried it like really hard. You can tell I tried hard.
So you think it was your work ethic that got you?
Honestly. Yeah, because I could never really juggle. Passing was pretty average. But it was just like I always just like worked so hard. Like I hated losing. And I always like was like the sweatiest kid after the game. Yeah.
So you went to Newcastle and then to the US college system?
So yeah, I think it was the summer in year 10 going to year 11, I played for Newcastle Jets. And at the time I was still living in Sydney, so I'd have to drive up twice a week or like 3 times a week for training. And then again in year 11 going into year 12, I played for him again. And then just because, yeah, I wasn't good enough to play for Sydney, but I really wanted to play. So the Sydney coach at the time was like, try Newcastle. And then year 12, the end of year 12 was when Wanderers had a club. So that was the first time I played for Wanderers, like the inaugural year. And then after that, I kind of knew I wasn't going to make the materials anytime soon. So I thought, why not just go to America, live my life and just kind of do something different.
We, of course, know that you played for the Wanderers in the summer. How was the Jets and the Wanderers experience then compared to now?
Oh, honestly, like chalk and cheese. Like back then, we're talking like 2011, 2012 to like 2020. Obviously, the investment's massive, just access to resources and facilities. So like just like the small things like change rooms like weren't even really a thing. So you'd have to like change in the car on the way there. And just just pretty much like the professionalism, especially at Wanderers this past season. It was like, honestly, it's like an environment I've never been in before, just because it was so equal to what the men had. So I think, it's you can't even compare. It'd be like playing club football to playing NPL, just so different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first season at the Wanderers, and then you went over to the States. Where did you go? How did you go?
So I went to the University of Colorado. So I played Pac-12 there. Honestly, like loved it. It was just such a different style of football. Like it was just super fast, super physical, super direct. Played a lot actually. And then my senior year, I moved to a school in Alabama, which is a lot different to Colorado. And then kind of finished it off there and then kind of came home. But yeah, honestly, I was pretty successful there just because it was such a physical way of football. And obviously I love that. And yeah, it was honestly, I tell everyone, if you have the opportunity to go to America, 100% do it. Just because it's nothing like we have here. Like it's completely different.
The study aspect of it, you obviously did a degree over there as well?
Yeah. So obviously I did my bachelor's in human services. But if I'm being honest, like the main reason I went over was for football and just kind of like got a degree on the way. Which looking back, I kind of wish I invested more into that. But I got everything for free. It was like a full ride scholarship, and you just kind of like travel in America. You made all these new friends. It was just a different world.
As an Australian over there, how are you received?
Oh, people loved it. People love the accent. It was super easy to make friends, and then obviously people just like what they don't know. So having an accent, just being something different, people like really, really warmed up to me.
Okay. What about as a player? Did they go, oh, she's Australian, must be good, or did you have to prove yourself?
Like there at Colorado, there'd never been any Australians before, so there wasn't really any precedent. So it was just kind of like, oh, here's this girl from like somewhere different. So there wasn't like a set expectation. I did kind of have to go out and kind of prove myself and just kind of show what I was about. Yeah.
Okay. And did you win any awards or any championships while you were there?
Yeah, we won it. Did we win? Personally, I don't think I won any personal awards because when does a defender ever win an award? Let's be honest. But awards, we like kind of broke a few records. So we made it. Like, have you ever heard of like the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we made it to the Sweet 16, which like never been done before. We beat all these teams that had never been done before. And it was like we were fairly new in the Pac-12 conference. So we're playing teams like Stanford, UCLA, like Oregon State. So it was the first time we were really competitive in that league. So just kind of, it was pretty much like being at Wanderers. Like it was the first time we were competitive my freshman year. And then we just kind of built on that. So I didn't win any personal awards, but we just kind of made a name for ourselves in the league.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you graduated and then thought, oh, well, were there visa issues?
I never ever wanted to live in America. I was like, it's so similar to Australia, but it's so different. So I always knew that I wanted to come home for sure. Like it was never ever for a moment I was like, I'm gonna live here. I just always wanted to come back after I was done.
Okay. And you came back to New South Wales or back to Brisbane?
I came back to New South Wales and then played another season of W League for the Wanderers.
Right.
Yeah. So I played at the club 3 different times, but never like consecutively. Yeah.
So that second chapter, had you noticed a shift then in the quality or the standard?
Yeah, so definitely the standard had improved. It's just like I think it was just the overall skill. I think the materials had gotten a lot better. So obviously that had kind of like a downward effect, and just like the overall like level of the league had increased like tremendously. And I think that it was just taken more professionally. So like it was kind of more than just like, oh, you play W League. It was kind of had a different I don't even like, it was just so different. And it wasn't like the facilities were so much better, because they weren't. It was just, I think everybody's football IQ is better. Like individual players were better than what they were before I left.
Okay. Yeah. Would the standings of the you obviously would have had a different coach, yeah?
Yeah.
So who was your coach when you came back?
When I came back, it was Rich. Yeah. So it was this guy called Rich, and then he went on to play to coach at Northbridge. But that's the thing about W League, it's the coach retention rate is so low, so it's so hard to kind of build on programs, especially if a club hasn't been successful. It's, you know what I mean? So I know at Wanderers the last like 3 or 4 seasons they've had about 3 different coaches. So it's kind of hard to build a legacy or build a way of style of football when the players like turnover rate is high, like the coaches aren't there, so it's just kind of hard to build something. So yeah, like that season I didn't even really play that much, and our team wasn't that successful. I think we came like second last, and then the season before last came dead last. So this was the first time Wanderers have kind of made a name for themselves and just kind of stepped up. And I think that's just an accumulation of like getting the right people in the staff, having the facilities, and just having the investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to Sydney, spent a season with the Wanderers, and then you just go, nah, I'll have a year off.
Yeah, honestly, it was like I just kind of wanted a summer where I could just hang out, go to festivals, and just, I know it sounds kind of weird, but I just kind of wanted to relax and just enjoy myself. So I played a season of NPL at South, and then I thought about playing for Raw, thought about moving back to Sydney, and just kind of thought I wanted that time to myself. So I wanted a summer where I wasn't overseas, I wasn't doing something, I just kind of wanted it myself. And it was a great year, because after that I did miss football, and so I decided to come back.
So that season at Souths, that was when you first caught my eye, the fact that this tough tackling defender that whilst all the other players seemed very polite and you know, would do all the right things, but you got stuck in.
Yeah, honest. I think my first game up there, I flew up to Brisbane, I think on a Wednesday, and then that weekend we had Gap, and I had no idea. I was like, oh, cool, like whatever. And then it was literally one of like the hardest games I've ever played, because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And then like some of those girls hit so hard, and I was not expecting it. But yeah, it was just, I don't think I have many friends up there, but yeah, I like to play hard for sure.
Just going off memory, was Ellie Fryer with you in the defensive line at that time, or had she moved?
I think she'd moved on. Yeah.
Okay.
So we had a fairly young backline.
Right, because I remember the first time I saw you, I thought, oh, there's another Ellie Fryer in the competition.
Oh really? No, I don't think I've ever played with her.
Very aggressive in defensive work as well. Yeah, it's a shame. The two of you together would just destroy forward lines, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wish we played together then. That would have been so good.
Did you find that your aggression rubbed off on your teammates?
I think a little bit. I think obviously if someone is timid by nature, they're not going to turn into an aggressive person on the field just by looking at somebody. But I think my competitiveness a little bit did rub off on people, just because I hate losing. Like I hate losing, that's why I win. So I think that did, but I don't think necessarily anyone was like overly aggressive because of me. I probably copped the most yellow cards in my team.
Okay. When you compare the NPLW with say the college system in the US, what would you say is the superior competition?
I think probably the college system, just because of the way it's set up. So it's pretty much like an all year round thing. You just have your summer holidays off, and just like the facilities and the setup, it's more, I would like kind of liken it more towards W League, but the standard not as high. So the work rate, the professionalism, all that is kind of the same as the W League, except the individual players aren't of that caliber.
Okay.
So I think it's definitely better than the NPL, but not as good as W League.
Right. They're playing more games in the US as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so this season you play about 20 games in about, I think, like 2 or 3 month span. So you're playing 2 games every weekend, and then there's like tournaments, and then in the spring season you just do fitness pretty much. You play, I think, 6 games in 4 or 5 months. So it's just all like off the ball stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Now let's talk about this season's move to the Wanderers. So you've spent a year or two up here. Do you get the phone call saying, "Hey, you want to come
Yeah,
back?"
so I got a phone call from one of the coaches there, Catherine Connolly. I actually played with her a few seasons ago at Wanderers, and she was just like, "Hey, do you want to come down, have a trial?" And I was like, at that time, I did kind of want to play W League again, so I said yes. I flew down to Sydney for 2 weeks, had a couple of trials, went to a couple of sessions, and then got the phone call that they wanted to sign me. So then I pretty much just like packed up everything and moved down 2 weeks after the first trial. So it all kind of happened pretty quickly.
And you've got family in New South Wales, haven't you?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Western Sydney, so that made that transition quite easy, and just having the support system's already there.
Okay. When you first show up, what happens? What happens when a player gets signed in the W League? What happens?
Yeah, so obviously, like, just playing in Sydney, growing up in Sydney, everybody knows everybody in the football community. So I remember, like, the first session, you kind of go there because you, at the same time, you don't even know who's like on the team, who's not. So the first time everyone like turns up to a session, you just kind of meet everybody. But fortunately for me, like, I'd played with a lot of the girls before, like whether it be like young Matildas or W League or like NPL level. So for me, it wasn't that hard to transition, and also like I'm a pretty friendly person, so yeah, it
Was there
wasn't too bad.
just rewind just a little bit further? Is there like a contract negotiation? Do you have an agent? Is it just a matter of you want to play for the
Yeah.
Wanderers? Yeah. Okay, show up Tuesday night.
Yes. So pretty much, like, I know a few of the girls do have agents. At the time I didn't, because I'd just come off like an NPL season. And I was pretty much like the last person signed. So there wasn't really that much. And obviously I hadn't played W League the season before, so there wasn't that much room to negotiate. And again, like, I don't play football for the money, so I wasn't like, I want this much or I'm not playing. At that point, I was just like pretty stoked just to be there and just to kind of like get better at football. So I just pretty much signed the paper, and then because I did kind of have family down here, again, it just made that whole transition so much easier. But I know a lot of the girls do have agents, and obviously, like any league anywhere, there are people who are paid on different kind of everyone's on a different contract pretty much. So there are different levels to contracts, and you kind of know. But yeah, I wasn't too phased by that.
So they basically said, Alex, we've got $20 a week left in our budget. It's yours if you want it.
So there is the nice thing for me, thank God, is there is a minimum salary cap. So there's a minimum contract. So you have to get paid that much. So that was pretty much my only saving grace. Otherwise, I'm a terrible negotiator. I probably would have taken $5 a week. But yeah, so thank God for that.
Do they? I know with just a little story from my hand. I've got a sister who's a property manager, and she got contacted by the Brisbane Roar once for an import that they had, and she lined up this house at New Farm that was like $1,000 a week in rent so that he could stay there for the entire time. I'm guessing that didn't happen for you, Alex.
No, so pretty much besides internationals, the internationals obviously get set up. I think it's part of their contract. They have like big time agents. So, but I think besides me, there was another girl, Ella, from Melbourne, who were the interstate players. And part of, like, it wasn't part of my contract. I was like, I'm happy to just kind of move back home. It was actually a pretty sweet deal. But for Ella, I know she had a little bit of trouble kind of finding somewhere to live just because it wasn't part of her contract. It wasn't part of her contract, so she kind of had to find that out on her own. But again, like, every club's different. I know Melbourne Victory kind of set up their domestic players nicely, and I think that is something that should kind of be like looked at in terms of W League. Is just like, obviously internationals need somewhere to live, but especially like interstate players domestically, I don't know whether they get looked up after in that aspect.
Were any employment opportunities opened up for you?
Luckily for me, my sister worked at Football Australia, so I was able to get employment through that avenue. But again, like I know for a lot of the girls, like they already had careers because they're from New South Wales. But if you didn't have a job, it's pretty hard to look for a job during W League season, just because we are so busy. But it's you're in that weird place where you do get paid and you do get compensated. So you're supposed to act like a professional, but at the same time, it's not really enough to be comfortable. So a lot of people do need to supplement that income. So if you don't have a job, it is kind of hard to find a job during season.
Yeah, yeah. And what about swag? Let's talk swag, Alex.
Yeah.
What do you get?
Honestly, thank God Wanderers were Nike. I do love a bit of Nike. We get train like every day is so nice. Like our laundry's done for us. So we literally just need to turn up to training. Our boots are already there. We get tracksuits, jackets, jumpers, bags, like travel suitcases, like literally whatever is like needed. That's pretty much what we get. So yeah, it's not bad at all.
And with we've talked a little bit about your games, but what about the things that you needed to do, say during the week, the sponsors events and post games? What are the standards there? What's expected of you?
Yeah, so obviously whenever we do put our like Wanderer stuff on, there is a level of excellence that we kind of need to uphold, maintain, and live like a level of professionalism. And I think that's one thing that like female athletes are particularly good at, is just kind of having that professionalism, that attitude, and that work ethic. So whenever we do kind of have something, it just gets kind of put into the group chat or the group like schedule, and then we just kind of get told like a couple of weeks in advance what we have to do. We just turn up, we do it, and then that's pretty much it.
Okay. So is there an expectation that after a game you need to, reach out to a few fans and sign a few autographs, or, you must spend 10 minutes?
Oh, no. So it's not like you have to go out and like hang out with fans. I think that's just up to a lot of the girls, up to their discretion. So a lot of people, it depends. Like after a game, a lot of people don't want to engage with fans. Personally, I think that's probably one of the best things, and I think that's a way to grow the game, is just kind of engage with the younger generation, because they are pretty much the future. So after games, I always kind of tried to hang out with and just kind of talk to all like the young fans there. But no, there's not really like an obligation that you have to like do like 20 signatures a game or whatever. Yeah, there's no quota.
How many nights a week do you train?
We train on average about 4 nights a week. We'd have one night off and then we'd travel over the weekend.
And what sort of sports science is involved?
Sorry, what was that?
What sort of sports science is involved with? I understand Wanderers are massive on skin folds and your body mass index.
So personally, we didn't do skin folds. I think that was more the men. But every day before training, we'd have to do our prehab, like our measures. So before the season, you get screened, you get all this testing done, and then throughout the season, you just kind of like touch base and just kind of see if you're training loads enough, if you need more, like if you're not doing it, like, you know what I mean. So every session we'd wear GPS, we wore heart rate monitors. Before every session, we'd have to like check in, do our like pre-weight. Just kind of see all about like agility stuff, or like everything we measure before the season, we have to just measure every single day. We also had like a daily monitoring app where we would write down like our well-being, just kind of touch base and see where our body was at. Yeah.
Did you have any issues during the
So what was that?
Did you have any issues where sometimes you're like completely maxed out on a particular?
Honestly, like I was pretty fortunate. Like I don't think I've ever had like a serious injury, touch wood. So no, I'm pretty good at like being able to manage my load. I know like some of the girls were doing extra stuff, like we and smash, or again like being a centre back, you don't really run too much. So it just kind of like, if you don't run enough or you're not running too much, like you just kind of do top ups. Whereas if certain girls ran too much, or like it was just all about kind of maintaining that load. Yeah.
And I asked this question last week. At the season ends, what happens there? Do you do an exit interview?
Yeah, so we do an exit interview, and then normally you just kind of transition straight into NPL. This season's just a little bit different when obviously no one's playing footy. So right now we're all just kind of touching base, just kind of seeing how everyone is and just going from there. Because yeah, it's such a weird predicament. But yeah, everyone does have an exit meeting. You just kind of, you have with the coach and like the club like GM, and you just kind of talk about what's happening in the season, and then you're done. Like your contract's finished. And then you move on to NPL.
What sort of feedback did you get?
I just got that I was a pretty good person to have in the change room, good morale, good character. Just kind of need to work on the slide tackles a little bit. I was like, yeah, fair point. He's like, if you're on the ground, you've lost. And I was like, yeah, look, you're not wrong. But sometimes you're tired, you just can't make it. So you've got to like do a cheeky slide tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
I follow you on Instagram, Alex, so I'm familiar with your morale boosting escapades.
I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you.
As you should. So you signed for an NPL club in New South Wales?
Yeah, so I'm currently signed for RPR Leichhardt this season.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously no games played because it happened around the coronavirus hit just after the W League.
Yeah, so pretty much the first weekend we were supposed to play, it was that week that the league shut down. So unfortunately, we really like all the W League because we've got about 4 or 5 W League girls in our team. We haven't been able to train with our NPL team.
And do you have any plans to come back to Queensland?
Honestly, yeah, like I love the Gold Coast. It's such a vibe up there. Like Burleigh is where my heart is. So yeah, honestly, like potentially, maybe, who knows?
So Gold Coast United, put on alert.
Call me up. Yeah, definitely.
And we could see you and Ellie Fryer in a game together. How good would that be?
Wait, I'm not mad about that at all. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Good stuff. All right, Alex, thank you so much for the chat this evening. It's been really interesting to get those insights. And I always, when I chat to footballers, I love finding out about the little things, and I think that's what people find interesting about playing at that next level. And they always say it's the little things that make a club more professional. So I thank you for sharing those insights. All right, Alex. Thank you for having the Village Law initial consultation with me this evening.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me.
Good luck with the rest of your career. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.